swirly. Meet this week's Empowerista, Katharine Emmer. After having a hard time getting hired as an actress for about 7 years, she just hired herself. I love her story. We're gonna hear all about it today, how she turned an obstacle into an opportunity. So first of all, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yes, so what made you go after about 7 years, you know what, I just need to make this happen for myself?
Well, I was tired of nothing happening.
Right.
And I have a very small attention span and I don't have a lot of patience. So I decided to create my own work, which is something they always told us in college. But I think I had to go through the experience of not having the phone ring before I was ready to really put myself out there and try it. And I didn't want to leave Los Angeles and having said, you know, I didn't give it as much as I could have to try.
But it was like almost full 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So during that time, were you just like, maybe tomorrow's the day, maybe tomorrow? What was going through your head during that time?
Well, I was acting in commercials, which is a great way to supplement your income, and it pays really well, but it wasn't as artistically fulfilling as I would have liked, and I didn't go to school. I went to school to be a legit actor.
And she went to NYU, so like legit acting school, great actress.
There's nothing wrong with acting in commercials because they can be quite fun and you meet a lot of wonderful people, but
everyone wants something different.
Yeah.
And you wanted to tell a more in-depth story and you wanted to do more of the theatrical side to TV and film.
So I wrote for the places I knew I could get for free in Los Angeles. I was a nanny, and so I asked the people I nannied for if I could shoot in their homes, and they graciously said yes, because they know how expensive it is and quite the endeavor to put together a feature on your own. And we didn't have money or financiers, so we utilized our environment and how much we could get for as little as possible. And so I wrote for the people I believed in and wanted to see in the film, and asked them if they would contribute their time and be a part of it, and they graciously said yes, and they liked the script. And then I took the script to a few friends who were professional writers and got their opinion and sort of gathered the notes that I agreed with and that made sense for the story, and put together what I was told was a solid script, and then we were ready to shoot, and we shot in 24 days all over Los Angeles and Palm Springs.
That's amazing. So a theme I'm hearing is that you have been extremely resourceful. You really had a budget that you had to stick to, and you just had to teach yourself. You had to learn from other people, of course, and just kind of find a way. Is that right?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it was hard. I am so grateful for, I call him my partner, but my boyfriend, who every day, no matter the obstacles, said, you know, keep going. There was a day, the night before, we lost a location that we were supposed to shoot in for 6 days. So we had to go on, find another location very quickly and cancel shooting that next day. And thank goodness the cast and crew were understanding. These are things that happen when you're shooting a low budget. They call them no budget because it's actually below low budget.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Film. But I learned so much, and I couldn't have done it without a team of great collaborators.
Yeah, and by the way, it did well for a no-budget film. I mean, for any film, but especially a no-budget film. It got accepted to South by Southwest, yay. It won a couple awards at different film festivals. Did you ever think it was going to do that well? Because, I mean, when you started this out, I mean, you were just trying to make your first film, right?
Right. I mean, it's a fine line, because I think you want to set your expectations high in the sense that you want to aim for greatness and you want it to be as good as you know you're capable of making it. But you also don't want to set your expectations so high that then you become disappointed and the process and the project becomes about, you know, trying to hit certain tangible goals.
Right.
And if those things are not met, you sort of have blinders on and you're not open to the whole experience and what you can get out of it in an intangible way as well.
Where were you when you found out that you're accepted to South by Southwest, and how did you celebrate?
I think I was on my way to exercise, actually, and now I have this belief, although I had it before, that if you just kind of like let go once you've put out there what you want and just take care of your mind and body, the rest will sort of follow. So I was getting anxious that I hadn't heard anything, but I just wanted to clear my thoughts and go for a run, and that's when I checked my phone and got the email.
Love it. So the film is Life in Color. You can find it on iTunes. I watched it last night. I loved it. It's a
Thank
romantic dramedy. So yeah, it definitely has the romance, the drama, some subtle, amazing humor. You are a fantastic actress and obviously a great director and producer and writer and all those other titles you have because it's a fantastic film. Tell us a little bit about this storyline and where there are some overlaps with your real life.
Well, I was a nanny, so I was told by many people, both prolific writers who write books and then teachers who all say the same thing, which is write what you know, especially when you're starting off, and I hadn't gone to school for writing. So I decided to draw upon my own life, which is, you know, I was about to turn 30 and I was still nannying in Los Angeles, wanting to pursue other things, but sort of feeling stuck and also feeling a bit isolated. So I decided to take two characters and write roles for myself and my friend Josh McDermott, who I had met in an acting class. And I asked him if he wanted to be a part of this. And I wrote a part that I thought would be a great character for him to play that I hadn't seen him play before. And then for our friend Adam Lustig, who's fantastic, who I met at NYU, he's an actor, and I wrote a part that I thought would be great to see him play. And then the story sort of came together. I knew I needed a through line and plot, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a sad, depressed clown and a nanny, and they both get fired very early on in the film, and they're sort of forced to join forces and help each other out of their emotional hole that they've been living in and struggling with for years.
Empoweristas often talk about the hardest part is just getting started.
Right.
And I would imagine there's a little bit of that going on for you when you decided, okay, I know I need to make this film, but it's no easy task. How did you just simply take the plunge and start taking action on it?
The important thing is to have faith that it's going to, or a will and a connection and a belief in yourself that knowing the end result is going to happen if you just power forward and not let any obstacle, you know, set you back to the point of giving up, and you just keep going forward.
Isn't that so true that successful people at the end of the day, they're problem solvers? That's
Yes.
what they are, because you're gonna get obstacles. That's just a given. It's about finding the solution to those obstacles. So
Yes.
you said a lot of it was believing in yourself, but that's so much easier said than done. And I don't care what level you are at in your career. I don't think like fear and doubt ever go away. So of course, I'm sure you had that throughout your journey. How do you deal with that fear and doubt and still believe in yourself?
Well, I think the important thing is, and especially as a female filmmaker, I mean, you're the one in charge on set. And so there's another fine line of how do you emanate confidence and be the leader you need to be, but also not be fake or put up this false pretense if, you know, something is happening and you're needing to problem solve. I think, you know, so many people get nervous, like they have to keep it together all the time, that they can't be honest. And so I think, you know, if there is an issue, whether it's, you know, between two actors and the scene's not working and we've got to figure out, we've got to problem solve how are we going to make it work? It's not hitting the way it should, whether it's the comedy or the drama, and acknowledging that and then working through that.
So I read an article that you wrote for the Huffington Post, and you wrote about some beautiful lessons that you learned along the way. One that stood out to me was to not be afraid to ask for something, which is something that women sometimes struggle with, is actually just going for it and asking for sometimes a huge favor. How did you have the confidence to do that?
Well, I sort of have this mantra in life that as long as you are respectful and you can go to sleep at the end of the day being proud of, you know, who you are and how you went about things, that's all you can really do. And so when you ask for things, my mother always taught me, what's the worst that can happen? You either
say no.
They say no, or you drop dead. And if you don't drop dead and they say no, you just move on to the next person, or the, you know, going about it in a different way. But, you know, so many people are afraid of what people think and afraid to ask because they think that someone will not like them, or, you know, think they're overstepping a boundary. But as long as you're respectful, if someone comes back to you with not feeling comfortable that you asked, then, you know, move on.
Another thing that you talked about was not being afraid to be displeasing, or, you know, you can't please everyone, in other words. Talk about that. How did you get over potentially annoying people or making them mad?
Right. Well, an example I can think of is when you're running a set and you don't have a huge studio budget. Some people want more money, or some people, want to show up late because they think, well, for the amount of money you're paying me, I don't have to act as professional as I would if I was being contracted from Warner Brothers. So, that was a perfect example of how I had to let a few people go, or say, if you can't show up on time, maybe this isn't the right project for you. And that's hard because you want to make sure everyone's happy. Like you're kind of the host of the party. And when you are sleep deprived and juggling so many different roles, you're
not always the host with the smile on. Sometimes you're like, no, this is really not working out.
And sometimes you have to deliver news that people don't want to hear. Maybe some people are unaware of how their behavior is actually affecting the entire team, and then you don't get the best result of your, for your project or whatever you're working on. So that was something I learned, that to not take it personally and to just be very respectful and matter of fact. And if things aren't working, you need to find a way. And if they're still not happy about it, eventually you've got to say that's on them. I've got to turn my focus and attention to the rest of the team and how to move the project forward.
Let's talk about female filmmakers, since you're one of, unfortunately, just a few. There aren't enough. What is your take on this? Why do you think maybe this is? Is there something that you can suggest that we can do about it?
I'm glad we're all talking about it. That's the first thing. Secondly, I would say as female filmmakers to just treat it like any other industry and don't think about the gender and keep putting out good work. I would say thirdly, I love the fact that people like Ryan Murphy are coming out and publicly saying that they're gonna dedicate, 50% of their workforce, they're gonna hire minorities and females. And I think that's important as strong female and male showrunners of television, and people continue to publicly commit to hiring more females, because the issue I think becomes for big studios to take a chance on female filmmakers or any filmmaker, young filmmakers, you have to have a body of work that you can show, right, because a lot of money is at stake and people are investing a ton of money and they want a guarantee that it's going to go well and that they're going to see return on their investment. So the problem is if you don't have these young female filmmakers with a huge pedigree behind them, it's hard for them to be, seriously considered for the job and to be in the running against these other, young male directors who have gotten all these shots, maybe more opportunities than the young females, so they have a larger body of work and then can be stronger contenders for these huge projects.
So they need more experience on the smaller level
Yes,
first.
I think. And so what we can continue to do, people, more experienced than myself and older, is continue to give breaks, I think, to younger females, because there's no reason why. I read a statistic of 6% of females are working DPs, director of photography. So I think the more we can give opportunity, it may be a slow process, but the numbers should hopefully start to even out.
And one of the reasons why I'm passionate about this topic is because when there's more female creators, there are more female stories told from the female's perspective. So it's more accurate and diverse and truthful and empowering for women. So when you were making Life in Color, what was the female perspective that you were trying to portray?
I just was telling my story, and I happened to be the protagonist who's a female. And what's interesting is when I started writing it, I was tempted to make it a story around Josh's character.
Interesting.
Yes. And I don't think that was because I thought, oh, this needs to be a male story. I think I was just trying to maybe get myself off the hook a little bit. So I think as females, we need to continue to take risks and not be afraid to fail or have criticism. I mean, if the boys are able just to throw themselves in it full force, why can't we? And we shouldn't, to a certain extent, care what people think, because, just as many male-directed films can get criticized as female, you have to be prepared as an artist, if you're going to put yourself out there, that you may receive criticism, but you may receive a lot of praise as well. So,
and likely you'll receive both.
Yeah.
It's really rare that you just receive praise.
Yeah.
And you watching or listening One of the best ways that you can support female filmmakers is to buy their movies or to rent them or go see them in the theater. So check out hers, Life in Color. You can find it on iTunes. Is that the best place to get it?
iTunes and Amazon.
And Amazon. Before we end, I want to know, what is your definition of empowerment?
Empowerment. I think empowerment comes from within. And I think I always feel more empowered when I look within myself and can hold my head up high and feel confident and good about myself and what I'm putting out there in this world. The times that I look to other people to give me confirmation, I actually feel less empowered than if I can stand by my work, whether it's a meal I've created, a film I've made, or just a conversation I've had with a friend.
Let us know what your definition of empowerment is by using hashtag Empowerista, and we'll show you some social media love.